Success isn't just about money. It's about winning in every area of life. Welcome to the Larry Hulsey podcast, where we dive into leadership, business, personal growth, investing, and family so you can prosper the way God intended. I'm Larry Hulsey, and each episode will bring you the wisdom, strategies, and motivation to help you level up in every part of your life. So if you're ready to grow, lead, and succeed, let's get started. All right. Well, hey, here we are. Cole, good to have you here.
Yeah, good Thursday morning, man. Thanks for having me here. I know this wasn't even scheduled.
So I know. We just fit it in. I mean, that was like what, 12 hours ago?
Maybe, if that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
I jumped at the chance, like the Larry Hulsey podcast.
The Larry Hulsey podcast.
I mean, Joe Rogan had called, Sean Ryan had called. I've moved them.
I mean, so, of course. We got to have priorities.
Yeah. We got to give you a cool name. Like I can't think anything appropriate right now, but give me a second.
So okay. Hulsey. Right. My kids are calling me Larry the Legend.
Larry the Legend. I like that. I was thinking more like the Hulsey halftime show or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's good.
We'll come up with something good.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, it's good to have you here. I know you got a crazy busy schedule.
It's the busiest season of my life right now.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's a little crazy.
Yeah. So I'm going to read your little introduction here. So just so everybody knows who we're talking to. Of course, this is Cole Stanley. First and foremost, it's a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. Amen.
Amen.
Secondly, a Texan by birth and by choice.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And lastly, he's your Amarillo City mayor.
Honored to be your lead volunteer, man. We're working as hard as we can down there.
I love what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
So it's been, I know you were telling me, I guess you got into being mayor for the money, huh?
Yeah, it's a very lucrative position. $10 a meeting is actually what it pays. I definitely spend quite a bit of money to be able to do the job. And then it's full time. It's not necessarily intended to be that way, but this council and so we have accomplishments that I had done our first little forum for the candidates, and they only gave us 2 minutes to talk, and I couldn't even complete the accomplishments just in public safety, much less getting through all sorts of services, core services, streets, everything else that we've got going. So this council is a super strong council, and they work, man. They work hard, and I work them. And so we're down there way more than we want to be or need to be, honestly, right now. But it's because we're agents of change.
Yeah.
And so when we got elected, it was a referendum. It was a mandate. We need to go back to core services. We cannot get hung up on shiny things. We've got to have leaders that aren't afraid to put it out in public. So my job right now is just to turn the lights on. Doesn't matter what the room looks like. I don't care what's in the closet. It's all coming out. And for decades, we haven't done business like that.
Yeah.
That's not tolerable any longer. And we have big issues that we just cannot continue to avoid. And so every problem I have is literally decades old.
Yeah.
However, in this role, you have to expect that, and you got to know that. And so the way that I'm doing best is by continuing to tell people, all the accomplishments. Like, I can't take any credit for any of it. Like, it's the team, and the staff has been aggressive, and they've pulled together to get a bunch of stuff done. They've changed some things. Every one of my council members, I love working with them, and we're up here in May. So if I get reappointed, if I get elected and told to go do this job, I'm willing to serve 2 more years. And I look at it as service, man. The whole goal is just service over self.
Yes.
And if you don't think that to be true, you can just look at Facebook and you can see, like, it ain't about me. Because if it was about me, I sure wouldn't be putting myself out there to take the hits, on Facebook, where even when I'm doing the right thing or I'm helping, there's always somebody else out there that can use it, for their gain or to make it look a certain way. And there's so many agendas. So all that to say, it's a worthwhile experience.
Yeah.
It's worthwhile investment. But you cannot imagine the education that I have right now. I can only imagine. I'm so educated. I know more about state statutes than you would ever think. Just a high school degree, diploma, construction kid should ever know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, tell more about your background and what your, business background and family background to kind of, lay the groundwork for what
Yeah.
prepared
So
you for
the
this.
easy way to describe it is, I went to Gene Howe Elementary, Valley View Junior High, and Randall High School. So my family lived in the same house over on Lamont Street. So South Side, really, really blue collar kid, blue collar family, hardworking dad, good mom, great parents.
Mhm.
And then, the intention was to go off to tech and become a dentist.
Yeah.
And had this beautiful girlfriend in high school. And I knew if I went to Lubbock, she was going somewhere better than me. And so, to keep her, duped, I guess, and heavily medicated, I needed to stay
Right.
here if
Yes.
we were going to get married. So, man, I decided, well, I'll just go to AC, and get a few credits. And
Mhm.
so it didn't take but about 6 minutes, man, for me to realize the college of my choosing was Hard Knocks University. And so
Mhm.
we started our first business at 19, went out of business at 19.
Okay.
6 months in, man,
Nice.
and I figured it out. Yeah, it was tough. And then went to work for somebody else. Grew up. My granddad was a fire chief here in town for. He probably worked for the fire department 36 years, I think.
Mhm.
And so the upbringing was I was always doing construction projects, and so I really loved construction. I just never thought that was a good way to earn a living,
Mhm.
and it's a hard way to earn a living,
Yeah.
but I love it. And so I've been in business for 26 years now. I'm 46 years old,
Mhm.
so we got back into business around 21 or so.
Yeah.
And man, I pay my tuition to
Mhm.
Hard Knocks University
Oh, yeah.
like every semester, and I'm constantly learning. And I believe in education. I just don't believe in school.
Right.
And so I have a lot of I'd say old school, old fashioned philosophies that kind of guide me, and a lot of them come from construction because it's
Mhm.
very you reap what you sow, and you build on these things, and foundation matters, and so it all transfers downtown to the mayoral role.
Yeah.
So much of this is exactly what I do in business because ultimately all I am is a problem solver.
Right.
That's all you do all day, every day is, well, okay, well, they didn't draw this. Well, how do we fix that? Well, this logistic didn't happen. So where can we, pivot? What can we do here? Well, the budget's not right. So let's value engineer this. And so it's been very helpful for that. And so over the last 4 years, I guess I accidentally got elected. Right. So I've been a complainer because I'm a user of the city.
Yeah.
So I'm a customer. So
Right.
I've had to deal with building safety now for 26 years. And so
Mhm.
being down there, you see, well, these things could change. This could get so much better. And so being a complainer, I don't mind people that complain like myself. I just want solutions. And so I was always willing to say, look, I'm going to complain, but I'm also willing to help. Like,
Right.
what if we fix this? What if we change that?
Mhm.
That got me all the way to the starting line to run for council place 1,
Yep.
and then had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Mhm.
And so 2 years council place 1, learned a lot.
Yep.
Definitely learned how to debate and argue a little bit better.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then 2 years here as mayor, and then
Mhm.
willing to do 2 more. And we don't have term limits, but
Mhm.
but I will self-impose one. Like, we will
Mhm.
be done. 6 years is plenty. So
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can't imagine the workload that it takes. I mean, with running your business, with your family. I mean, I just have my business and my family,
Sure.
and I got my hands full. So
yeah.
I definitely recognize it's an act of service in a major way.
Yeah, and I mean, there's lots of analogies that you can compare it to, but until you experience it, you just don't really realize the amount of weight that you put on yourself and you carry. As a builder, I guess given one construction reference, so as a builder, you have to warranty your own stuff.
Mhm.
So you may have 10 projects going and struggling to get to all 10, right? They
Mhm.
may be in multiple counties, different cities. Then you have warranty calls. Well, nobody really budgets for those warranty calls,
Mhm.
but you got to get to them. You got
Oh,
to take
yeah.
care of those customers. Being the mayor is like being a builder who's responsible to take care of the warranty for every other builder. So
Yeah.
like I am constantly taking the warranty call from builders all over town that maybe they did their job right, maybe they didn't. And so in that analogy, you're responsible for everybody else's work, not just your own business.
Yeah.
and you have to provide whatever that solution is to remedy the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done a really good job of doing that, but there's no valve. In business, you can control the flow.
Right.
If you own 10 different stores and you're like, well, we're not going to grow this year. We're at maximum.
Yep.
Well, I don't get to control the valve. So when a flood happens, when a fire happens, if there's a catastrophe, just in day-to-day operations, there's no controls.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's a point of faith. Man, I really just trust the Lord. Like I trust him, and I'm just going to do that next little thing that he tells me to do.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to work real hard all day and fall over as soon as I get home at night. Like I most of the time I don't remember getting in bed.
Yeah. So on faith, I mean, I know you're, strong man of faith. I've known you for years. Our kids went to school together. And it was always great getting to know you. In fact, the first time I saw you, I didn't meet you, but you remember that Maxwell's mud run years ago, maybe 10, 12 years ago?
Do. Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah. You and Shiloh dominated.
No. She dominated. She says I cheated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's still mad about that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We had to get a judge's ruling.
Oh, yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. So I believe that.
Yeah. So that was
She's competitive like my wife.
That was a fun race. But do you remember at the end of the race, they had this, it was a plastic slide, basically. And it had these 6-inch PVC pipes on the side. There was a rope, and they'd put mud all over it. And you had to use the rope to pull yourself up. Mm-hmm. Well, she was waiting in line because she's faster than me. Yeah. So she had already outran me.
Yeah.
And so when she got there, she had to wait to get the rope. And so like I just kind of patted her as I walked by and grabbed the PVC and walked up the slide. And she was like, "You have to wait in line." I said, "No, man. All you got to do is get up the hill.
The job done."
Yeah. So she was like, "That's not fair. You cheated." And so this is a good illustration of the health of our marriage.
Oh, yeah.
If I'd been smarter, I would have waited in line knowing, but instead I wanted to win.
Right.
Right. And so we literally went and got the judge to ask, and he was like, "What'd you do? You went up the slide, but you just held on to the PVC." I'm like, mm-hmm. He said, "You manipulated the course well. Good job."
Yeah.
Winner.
Yeah. Winner. Yeah. Oh, man. I bet that's been, how much counseling have y'all done over that?
Oh, I mean, it's thousands of dollars at this point. I don't know how many sessions.
Oh, my gosh. Heather and I have some things like that over some ping pong games. Oh. Where, we have some fierce competition.
You're a good ponger?
I'm pretty good. And she, she doesn't like to lose either. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I love that like, my wife and I love each other, and she's I got Shiloh and I got Jesus. I can get through anything, and that's fantastic. But then she's super tough. She's a warrior, and she likes to fight. And so I try to never be that one that she's coming after.
Right, exactly. So smart.
Yeah. So she's tough.
Oh man, that's awesome. So, well, maybe we could talk a little bit more about role of government. How you feel about the role of government.
And I know you and I set this up yesterday, and so it's always fun because people ask, they're like, "Well, are you comfortable? Do you need to know the questions?" Like, no, I don't need to know the questions. I'd rather not know them. Yeah. And then let's just have a good organic conversation. And so, if we've got a few minutes here to kind of talk about some things that I think are way more impactful, way more important than kind of an update. And I do a lot of updates.
Yeah.
And I'm always great to just continue to give city updates. Well, here's how many streets we've cleaned and alleys we've cleaned up, and here's how many potholes we fixed and all that. But everybody is opinionated, and it's always local, for them. So it matters where their trash can got set, not necessarily the service all across the city. So to stay out of that, really, like what I love talking about, the right role of government. The current status of our global governance and how the world has turned.
Yeah.
The lack of acknowledgement of absolute truth. Statements like, unity is preferable, but the truth is non-negotiable.
Right.
These are important things that we've always had in society, and yet today we act like those don't exist. Mm-hmm. So you see people that are like, well, we want leaders that create unity and they're not divisive. And hey, we all want that, but not at the expense of truth.
Right.
So I came up with a term. Nobody else has really taken me up on it yet, but maybe it'll stick. Transgender is a movement. It's not a preference for one person and it's just kind of their own thing. It's not like I like Mexican food over Italian food. It's not that.
No.
It's a movement. And it's a cultural shift for acceptance. And they utilize a lot of like your DEI concepts, diversity, equity, inclusion. Well, that inclusion term is very one-sided.
Right.
Tolerance for me, but not for thee, you know? So like, if you go back to like, I'm a traditional genderist. What does that mean? Well, I believe in traditional gender.
Yeah.
There's male and there's female.
Pretty simple.
Now, are there things that have happened physiologically on such a small scale that like you got to really break down that last of that 1%? Yes, and I mean I get that, but as a cultural standpoint, like I want to be a traditional genderist, and so I want to be able to refer to a man and a woman and understand that that's a truth, and the reason that matters is not out of a level of disrespect for any one person. It's out of a level of respect for what it takes to have a healthy community.
Right.
If you want a healthy community, you need two things: absolute truth and the moral law. The moral law exists. We all recognize this. You know, if you're sitting there and you leave, and when you come back, I've taken whatever it was yours. You know, if your lunch is sitting there and I eat your lunch, you're going to say, "Why did you do that? That's wrong." Well, who says? You know, there's not a state statute somewhere that says I can't, do that. Well, so we get into the minutia of arguing over that, and we've lost sight of, like, I think the moral law. And so that governance that says treat others the way you'd want to be treated. And so everything I do down at the city, I believe, is in addition to, it's foundational, but that the solutions, really, I don't have the solutions. Like the solutions for our problems here in Amarillo, Texas, are found in the family unit. They're found in our faith-based communities, and they're found in our neighborhoods. So it's neighbor to neighbor. It's father to son. It's husband to wife. So just public safety. If we truly want to live in a safe community, we have to esteem others as better than ourselves. We have to have leaders that will push for that. We have to acknowledge the need for the moral law. And in order to do that, we've got to have truth.
Right.
And it does have to be absolute. And that's such a hard thing. That may be a little offensive.
Yeah.
Probably not to your audience, but I mean, if you play this on a few other platforms, I mean, that's offensive. Who is he to say there's absolute truth? Well, I told you who I was.
Yeah.
Like I'm a citizen of the kingdom, so like that means I have one boss, right? King Jesus. And I've said, I will serve you. And he requires me to serve my fellow man. So there's my motivation to go and try to work hard at being a good mayor. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I've been, over the last few years, I mean, we've become much closer the last 5 years since 2020, started to really, communicating more and working together on some things. You see globally the assault on truth, on absolute truth. And I was so surprised that hit Amarillo, Texas, being one of the most conservative communities in the country. I was shocked at the way it kind of leaked into our society, leaked into our government, leaked into government control, and with the whole 2020 lockdown thing. And man, that got me fired up. And that's I don't know if you could speak to any of that.
2020 moved me off of the sideline as well.
Yeah.
I would have told you back in 2019, local doesn't matter most. Local government is, kind of on the small scale. Everything happens federally. We need to be concerned with, big government, kind of what they're doing. But like, here locally, we don't have any of these issues. Well, 2020 showed you how very impactful a local public health authority could be in your life.
Yes.
Where they said, well, you'll wear this mask, or we're going to write you a ticket. You'll close down your business, or we're gonna put a cease and desist letter on. I mean, crazy amounts of power and influence. It's a little scary. Like if you knew the amount of power that resides within the council and at the mayor's desk, you would be concerned. Myself and two other individuals can remove any department in the city
Hmm.
just in one meeting. And so we control the budget, and that means an entire department is in that budget.
Mm-hmm.
And if we show up and we say we're getting rid of, and I always use the example of like the ice department, because we don't make ice at the city.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever use anything that's realistic, you'll get shot. So
when you said ice, I thought
ice,
you meant
not
thought you meant
not that
deporting
not-
illegals. That's
not-
what I thought
not
you were talking
Homer.
about. Okay,
not I'm not the border czar. I'd make
Oh.
a good one though.
got it.
So the ice department, we don't make ice down at the city, but if we made ice and I said, hey, look, I don't think it's a core service. I don't think we need it. I want to take the $1 million away from the budget. It's just gone. In one meeting, it'd be gone. That's amazing at the level of power that rests and resides locally. We are what's called a home rule city. And so that means any city that's over 50,000 people, I mean, you have to abide by state law, but you then can abide by your own law. So we can write in our own laws. If we say we only allow pink fire hydrants in the city, then that means every fire hydrant is going to be pink. The state doesn't have any jurisdiction over that.
Yeah.
If we say no signs, you can't have a sign. Nobody gets to have a sign on their business or down the highway. As long as it's not going against a law. So if the state says you're required to have so many signs, well, then I can't break that law. But if they're not speaking to it, we can. So we saw in 2020 how important we are as the actual boss.
Yes.
So, I mean, you're my customer, you're my boss. I have one boss, but he requires that I esteem you as better than myself, right? And so, that service over self, once again, mindset is important when you're talking about like local governance truly matters most. I can affect your day-to-day life, your business, more so than the state ledge, way more so than the federal government. And so with all that, I think this role for me is worth it because I see how impactful it can be. And really, a lot of us, we just want to make an impact.
Yeah.
We don't mind working hard. We don't mind putting ourselves out there. I definitely don't mind what it looks like because it doesn't look good all the time. But you get away from people like you that'll put themselves out there. And the one thing that you saw through 2020 was fear.
Yes.
The motivating factor was fear.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that will stand in your way from being a good leader, I believe, is fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be afraid of man. Like, what will they say? What will it look like? Being afraid to fail. What if I can't do it right?
Mm-hmm.
And then being afraid to stand up. And so, like, I loved it when I got down there at 2020 or 21. I was going to get sworn in that day, and I was told, "You're going to wear a mask." And I was nice.
Interesting. Yeah.
I was like, well, let's talk about it.
I'm going to wear a mask.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So, like, what? Well, you haven't been vaccinated, sir. I'm like, oh, well, it's a big deal for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not a big deal for me. Like, I'm not taking that vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a vaccine. It's an experimental biologic, and I can see that. I'm sorry you can't.
Yeah.
But, you know, I believe in liberty. And so, you know, I'm kind of got some core libertarian values.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to ride your motorcycle without a helmet, man, I don't think that's smart, but I'm not going to tell you can't.
Yeah.
Man, if you want to take that vaccine and you believe it to be healthy for you, then go ahead. You know, I mean, I think it's up to you to a certain extent. Now it's different. We have way more data on it now. I think leaders need to be saying, well, no, we have a role to protect the community. And so at a lack of protection, we have a role, but then not at a restriction of your liberty.
Right.
So we're kind of walking that line out. But then even just being told like, well, you're going to wear a mask when you go out there and saying, no, I'm not, was like a huge point of bow your knee and bend to fear. And if you don't, well, then you're not going to fit here. And it would have been so easy because when you get elected and you're brand new, you want to get along.
Yeah.
You know, so it was an opportunity, like just go along to get along. And man, I just stiffened up. And from day one, like, I'm not going along with it. You know, I'm just going to, I'm going to do this thing the way I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't be concerned with making you happy or conforming. So the great thing about the faith aspect, and I'll quit talking so much, Romans 12:2. You know, Lord gave me that scripture from day one. You know, be not conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve, you know, his good will. And so not being conformed creates really good leaders, especially in 2025.
Yes. Oh yeah. Man, yeah, I loved it. I went to a lot of those city council. I'd never been to a city council meeting in my life until you were on the council.
Mm,
And
yeah, sorry.
yeah. It made for good TV. Good TV.
Man, it did. Unfortunately, I hated that it got like that, but like it was just a wrestling match, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
You were outnumbered.
about 7-1.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot. They
Yeah.
made me really good. They made me strong.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was boot camp training. So I say I've done 2 tours of duty
Yeah.
downtown, and that's about right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, so I have a really serious question for you. It's I put a poll out
yeah.
on Facebook last
Uh-huh.
night, and I got a really serious question. What are you going to do if Diddy comes to Amarillo?
Yeah. Well, I don't think Diddy's coming to Amarillo, right? Like, I want to know, is he wearing an orange suit if he comes to Amarillo? Like, I don't know. I was texted yesterday. So the guy was like, hey, don't invite any journalists to this thread. And so I've been so buried locally in like my issues here.
Yeah.
Like I've paid zero attention
Yeah.
to the stuff that's going on kind of nationally. So I
Right.
don't even know P. Diddy Puff Daddy's current
Yeah.
status. Like, have they arrested him yet?
I think he's been arrested. I'm really not sure.
Yeah. Well, I know Oprah better not come back to town. The old Texas Cattle
Oh yeah,
Feeders
Oprah. She'll
Association.
be sent packing.
They'll arrest her. I-40.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, Amarillo is such a fun community, man. We really rock the boat. We
Yeah.
go against the grain, and maybe that's why I love living here and I fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. I mean, good news is I'm not in charge of transportation of convicted felons, so I don't know
Right.
what he's doing when he gets
Yeah.
here. So
Thought I'd throw that in there just see what happened.
it's,
So
it's good to keep me on my toes here.
yeah, throw a little Theo Vaughn at you, like something.
Hey,
I'm trying to go there. I'm trying to get that Theo Vaughn
golly,
vibe on my podcast.
wherever his head's at is
Dude,
it's always fun to watch.
He's awesome.
Uh-huh.
So maybe a little lighter thing. I mean, is there any, whenever you're entertaining out of town guests, is there a place you like to show off or, being from Amarillo?
Yeah, so I actually do. One of the funnest evenings we've had was down at the Barfield, kind of down in the speakeasy.
Mm-hmm.
And so Eric Trump coming to town, mayor was given an opportunity to like, hey, do you want to pick him up from the airport? And I'm like, well, yeah, can I help with security? I'm thinking he's probably flying in private jet. He was speaking at an event. It was a Republican event.
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, we go to the airport and guy just walks off I think he flew in American Airlines,
Mm-hmm.
got a bag with him, nobody else with him, no security detail.
Yeah.
And, of course they hadn't shot at his father yet. So maybe
Right.
they've changed a
Yeah,
few things.
exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, we had lunch down at the Barfield. It's a really cool environment. I like the vibe there. You watch your Yellowstone.
Love it.
I mean,
Love
they're
Yellowstone.
filming down there. It says a lot of kind of that Texas historic, Polk Street. It's a great example of like what Amarillo has that
Mhm.
we didn't have to do. So government's not the answer, right? So,
Right.
This old civic center mindset and creating a convention town and all that, that's not really what works. What works is capitalism.
Yeah.
Barfield's a great example of capitalism.
Yeah. Great place.
So we do, when we entertain, we'll take a few people downtown because I love it. Polk Street's a lot of fun. I don't hang out past like probably 12 o'clock, but
Yeah.
it's really good. It's a good hotel. It's a cool place. So
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So, I think we also wanted to talk about downtown is where the new monument's going. Is that,
well, City Hall.
yeah.
So yeah, let me tell you, I am going to actually give you an update.
Okay.
So I was in a discussion back in place one about 10 Commandments monument,
Mhm.
and I had said like I'd love to have the 10 Commandments displayed, like at a city building, the City Hall building, and of course we're building a new City Hall. We hadn't moved into it at that time, and
Yep.
a few other conversations had come up from that. And I really felt like, okay, this is a good thing. It's good because it represents our traditions. It represents our values. It represents community. Now I get that it's a historic monument, right?
Mhm.
And it speaks to traditions and values. Doesn't mean that it's not a religious document as well. It
Mhm.
is. And I mean, it's multi-religion.
Right.
It's not just one. But we kind of jumped into this where I was talking to council about, hey, what if now we don't want to take taxpayer dollars and go and buy a monument, but what if we pay for this? And then we put this out in front of the flagpole, and so we had a few discussions, ended up getting an attorney that educated us on really the version that got approved by the Supreme Court that says, yes, you can have government speech that reflects a religious document as long as it's historic and traditional and represents your values, which it does. So down in Austin, they have one in front of the Capitol. It's approved. So it was found to be in favor and acceptable by the Supreme Court. So we've adopted that version and mirrored that. And then we were going to pay for it as council. It turns out, man, the community at large wanted to pay for it. So even right now, we're still allowing people to make donations. We hadn't fully fundraised everything, but the cost of that monument, Osgood Lagrone Monument Company here local.
Yep.
They'll produce this. It's already been ordered. It'll be here middle of the summer. City council still has to accept it. So there'll be just a vote to accept it, to put it out there on the lawn.
Yeah.
But anybody that's watching, anybody in the congregation, anybody in the community, it's being gifted to the city by the community at large. And I've had people give $10. I've had people give $1,000. But we feel like it is a good, it's a good monument that represents like the position that we want to take towards each other, in that being the basis of the moral law.
Right.
And it does represent, an absolute truth, and it does represent values. So the update, it's
who
coming.
Who would argue with that?
July.
I mean, 10 Commandments. I mean, like, thou shalt not murder. I mean, who's going to argue with that?
I've had plenty of arguments. So many arguments. The arguments are fun.
Yeah.
Because the same person that says, Mayor, you don't need to spend your time on this. You need to focus on streets, and you better worry about water. This is something you don't need to be involved in. Is the exact same person that will come to me and say, hey, I would like your support over here on this other social issue. I would like this taken care of. And I'm like, well, now wait, didn't you just tell me only to focus on one or two things? So we can focus on multiple things, but the argument has gone all the way from that's not your role, all the way over to, the separation of church and state is something that is very, very grossly misrepresented. Most of us know the truth.
Yeah.
Freedom of religion is not freedom from religion.
Right.
Tolerance is tolerance, but love is love. If I tolerate you, I don't love you. I'll let you walk right off that cliff just because I tolerate you.
Yep.
But if I love you, man, I want to come and tell you, hey, there's a cliff over there. And so everything in that has been some really good arguments, and I enjoy those arguments because it comes down to the motive. Okay, so remove that motive, right? Tell me that the 10 Commandments has no place in our society, and that the moral law doesn't exist, and that all things are relative. And then tell me that I can euthanize every animal to solve my pet problem. Like we are overran at animal management.
Oh yeah.
We are out of room. Every rescue is full. I think we have to treat these animals the way that God tells us to, and that we need to love them, and we need to be humane, and we need to look to foster and adopt and pet care and everything. Right.
Yep.
So my motive there is a moral motive on behalf of that animal and those that love them.
Yep.
Right. Well, remove that. What's my motive? Think about our homeless problem. We have more homeless people in town. One is too many. You'll never solve that problem. But there are so many people with a passion that love some of the hardest people to love in our community. What's their motive? It's that moral law.
Yeah.
Well, remove it. Then the solution would just be to bus everybody out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't function in society. You don't want an immoral or an amoral mayor.
No.
You have to, and you hold him and her to these moral high standards. You do. Whether you're Democrat, liberal, conservative, Republican, we're all holding the behavior there. Yeah. But then the most fantastic argument is where they want to remove the motive, but they still want the the work.
The benefit.
They still want the work.
Yeah.
And so this is why that's why we're on opposite sides of the aisle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I love it. Is there somewhere that people can give to the
yes.
to
So
put the monument up?
what we're asking is so that nobody ever handles the money necessarily. It needs to be the community at large. So
Mhm.
Osgood LaGrone Monument Company, and you can look them up online. You can get their address, and we're just everybody I talk to. I'm like, just mail them a check. What they do is they receipt it, and everybody just puts on their 10 Commandments monument.
Okay.
And so they receipt it and they're documenting all that. And then we track it on our end. And so it's the community at large that's gifting it. And then this way it comes with dollars from the community. And truly the law firm that's involved right now, there's no expenses. They volunteered. It's First Liberty that did it. And
Nice.
so, yeah, I got a great attorney making sure that we follow all the steps.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of things you got to follow.
I'm excited about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I talked to my daughter last night. I talked to Pastor Brian's daughter, Chapel, and Addie. They had a request for you. So they want to get you on record. They wanted me to get you on record.
Yeah.
So, down at John Stiff Park, the lights don't work at the volleyball courts, the same volleyball courts.
Right.
So they wanted me to petition you to ask if there's any way we could get those lights to be able to come on at night.
Already working.
Yeah.
So yes. Yeah. So we addressed that one. Chapel had come and spoke, I believe, to council and did a great job. And so what we've done is we've upgraded. Previous council did this. Really, they put it in the budget, and then this council's built on that. And so it's a budgeted item. I don't know the actual status. It takes forever to get stuff done.
Yeah.
But it should be in the works and hopefully coming out here pretty quick. I know we kind of had the winter where not too many people were over there, but spring's here. So you tell those 3 strong women that I will. I'll follow up on that. I'll get you an update back on time frame.
Okay, good. Yeah, they'll be happy to hear that. You don't want to be on their bad side.
Man, they may even be voting age at this point, so I better watch out.
Well, so I think we're about to wrap up here, but I thought maybe I don't know if you'd like to, I don't know if you'd like to differentiate some of your beliefs as a candidate and running it and being the mayor with anybody who's.
Man, I'll wrap up by saying this. I'm running for mayor. I'm not running against any individual or persons. Positivity is the way forward. I greatly respect anybody that will put themselves out here like this to try to do this job. Yeah. It's not a desirable position. Ultimately, once you get there, you see that it's way more work than it is fun. But I think I'm just different. I'm a different candidate, and you can probably see that. And so I'm not distracted by shiny things. I'm not going to lead the city backwards. Moving us forward is foundational. Public safety's first, infrastructure second. Just those 2 alone are monumental tasks. And then we've done so good. We've gotten so much stuff done. The criticism is well, you hadn't fixed it all yet. Well, these problems are decades old and coming, and it's going to take more than 2 years. And so, man, I'm willing to work real hard. I said when I got elected, I'd outwork everybody that came before me, and I have. Yeah. And so hard work and strong ethics and being able to face down that fear, I think of the public is what's important. So, the other people that are running, man, God bless them. I hope they run hard and I'll accept the outcome, however it goes.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Mayor, thanks for coming, man.
Man, I appreciate you having me. Thank you, Bubba. Thanks,
appreciate it. Yeah. That's a wrap for today. If you got value from this episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a show. And if this message resonated with you, share it with a friend and connect with me on social media. I'm at Larry Hulsey, and I'd love to hear how you're applying these lessons in your own journey. So remember, success is more than just one area of life. You want to keep growing, keep leading, and keep prospering the way God intended. We'll see you next time.